Okay, since I got everything out, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to sew that strap across the vinyl for these pumps. If you want to make these kind of pumps with a strap across them, you can use any strap you have. I just used this black and white one for this pair of shoes, so I'm just going to use the second piece of this for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut myself a piece of that hairband. So it doesn't matter because you can trim it down once you get it into the pump. On the pattern, I just went down 2.5 inches, 2.25 inches from the side, and I drew a line. So what I did is on my piece of vinyl, I drew those same lines. I came down 2.25 inch on each side, 2.25. It's 2.25 from the edge. 2.25 inches from the edge. Okay. So I've got my strip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, this has got to be sewn so that it comes out like this to go across, correct? Right, because you're sewed on this side and you're sewn in on this side, and you're actually sewn in on both sides, and you don't see your seam at all in there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set this in and secure it to this edge. So I'm going to line that. I'm just going to go dead center on that from that. No, I'm not. I'm going to go down and line myself up to that 2.25 inch so I can match this shoe. I should have wrote down what I did because I don't remember what I did on this shoe. So anyway, I do know that I was all the way over to the right when I sewed this in. That much I remember. So I'm just going to top stitch this down so it has a place to, so it's on there. Okay, all I'm doing is securing it. Okay, so I just put that on there. Okay. So that is the first side. Now I'm not going to mess with the other side right now because I'm going to put on my, I'm going to sew my top piece, but I'm only going to sew it over to where that second piece of elastic will be attached. So I'm going to sew all the way around here to the other side. So I'm going to mark that to make sure I don't pass that area up. So I'm just going to put a little mark here to know that I am not supposed to sew past that mark. Make it a little bigger than the elastic so you can fit the elastic in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I believe that I sewed this whole pair of shoes together with my needle position all the way to the right. So I'm going to try and do everything the same way that I can remember how I did it. So, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. It's one of the nice things. You should always, I'm too far off. You should always make your shoes at the same time so you know, so you don't have to remember what you did. You just know. See that mark. Okay. I got pretty close. Yeah. Okay. Well, just get as close as you can. I didn't do a very good job on this stitching either. Wow, I did a lousy job. See how badly I sewed that? So I'm going to go back and do it again because I'm going to fix that right now, and I'm going to do it with my needle in the center position so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Well, that was terrible stitching. Okay, so I got that done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the other side. I'm going to come down the other side, but I'm going to leave enough space so I can insert my elastic once I get to the other side. So I am going to just come down here till about here, somewhere in that general vicinity. Let's go back to the other, to the right. Okay. Get my stitching out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to come up the other side. Alright, so I left that whole spot open. See how I left that open? Okay, so I'm going to, before I do anything else, I'm going to make a few trims in here so I have some pliability to work with. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to turn this. I'm going to take this elastic and I'm going to insert that into the hole that I left open. Okay, I'm getting ready to turn all my fabric to the other side. I'm going to insert that in the opening that I left. Okay, so what you want to do is determine how much of that elastic that you want showing on the front. And I believe I left myself about it's 3/4 of an inch across from side to side. So get this in there and mark down where there's 3/4 of an inch. So what I do is I'm going to turn this, I'm going to put my fabric like this, and I'm going to put a pin in just to hold it in place. This is just to hold the placement so that I can turn the back around and determine that once I put that seam in, the rest of that matching seam in, how much do I have left? See how much that is? That's more like, it's like an inch. I went way too far, so I got to pull it some more. Probably a good 1/4 of an inch. Let's measure it again. And there's my front. And there's my 1 inch. And by the time I put the seam in, I'm looking at 3/4 of an inch. Do you see how I'm figuring that out? I want this to be 3/4 of an inch across. And it is 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so now I've got where I want it. See how I've got this turned? And I've made those little cuts in here, so that's why I can stretch this all out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a couple stitches in here before I remove this needle. If I take the needle out, it might snap back on me, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go put my machine at the center position. I'm going to line up my stitching to that previous stitch. Do a couple back stitches. And then I'm going to hold my elastic, remove my pin, and I'm going to match up those two seams. I'm going to cut off the rest of this elastic that I didn't need. And there you go. There is your strap across your pump. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to finish. What I would do is I would also reinforce this. So sew back and forth a couple times on here so that it stays in place. This one you don't have to because you've already sewed the elastic on there the first time. But on this one I would definitely reinforce this side. Make some more of your, cut your elastic down, make some more of your little clips, finish your seam off, and you're ready for another pair of shoes. And there you go. That's all there is to it. And you can put any elastic in there that you want. Any design, you can crisscross them, you can, you're the designer. The possibilities are limitless. It's up to you how you want to design your shoes, but that's just another option. So you would if you're going to crisscross the straps, you'd do it the same way. You just would sew one side and then leave this side open, but you do have to make these little clips so that the fabric becomes pliable, because it's too hard otherwise to be able to get in there and sew the other side. Okay, there you go. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.